Welcome to Whitespace, DCD's news service video on Halloween. Now, this week I've been to Chicago for DCD's service provider event, DCD as a Service, where we heard a massive number of things, too many to recount in one video. I would start, though, I suppose, with our keynote speaker, Joe Weinman, gave us he's written a book called Cloudonomics, and he updated the book for us to talk about the new abilities that companies need in the digital age. It was good stuff, and for those people who are colo providers, he had the good news that the cloud is going to help them, because as the cloud gets bigger, people need more co-location for locally based services such as disaster recovery.
And did he talk much about security?
No, there was security elsewhere in the show,
right. And
that was an important strand. And we also some interesting developments around stacking IT, and some very good observations on marketing and selling, which went down very well with the audience.
Can you tell us more about that then? That's quite interesting, actually.
Yeah,
we don't talk about that very often.
Yeah, I mean, it turns out that a lot of people in the data center community would much rather be building their data centers than selling them, and they quite often set out on the advanced selling programs the if you build it they will come thing, where either they don't bother to market it, or they market it in a kind of haphazard way to the wrong people, to people who couldn't even use their services if they wanted to. So we had some great stories on that, which will find their way into the site and the magazine. Good. Okay, and Max, what have you been finding out?
Yes, talking about cloud, it's sort of like and whether it's eating or not eating colo. Cisco has published its annual cloud index today. Not today, Jesus. A couple of days ago. And interesting findings. Basically, data center traffic will triple before 2014 and between 2014 and 2019. Triple.
Oh, right.
Increased 3 times. So that's massive. But most of this growth is going to be spurred on by the cloud, unfortunately. So, cloud will account for 80% of that growth.
Oh, right.
And traditional data center workloads just 20%, so that's quite a modest increase. You could say they're not going to grow at all. It's quite depressing, really.
But Joe's right to say they're increasing.
Yeah, they're not shrinking, so that's good, right? But one of the interesting findings is sort of like also the equilibrium between public and private. So public is going to become a lot bigger. Private is going to mostly go away.
Right.
Also sort of massive growth in public. So North America leading the way as it has been for the past 100 years. Yes. Also, the dominant service on the cloud will be software and not infrastructure. So software as a service is going to account for more than half of overall cloud services. So things like Salesforce. People always if it's software as a service, it's Salesforce. Whereas infrastructure as a service is going to account for 30%, down from 42% right now, and platform as a service is going to go down as well.
Right. So you're not managing your own servers. You're not even managing your own virtual servers.
You're just getting your software from a software provider, and that, as far as you know, that is it.
Within a year, Salesforce will probably be bought by EMC. Sorry, Dell.
No, because they're so big. They're too big for their shoes.
They're worried. It's inside information is they're worried about being bought.
Seriously?
Yeah, really, honestly, yeah.
Oh, that will be very, very interesting.
You had it here first.
Okay. Now, so Bill, you can hear me, good.
Yes, I can.
Okay, what have you been finding out?
Well, interesting, a company called Rivello, which is a cloud platform, was so convinced this week that it could sustain any sort of cyber attack that set up a hackathon, and a company called LightCyber. It's hosting a challenge to attack the Rivello cloud, the information Rivello cloud platform. And some of our readers got it wrong, and I did get a call from Rivello saying, please make it clearer in our story that it's not us that you should be attacking. LightCyber is hosting the hackathon, so don't attack Rivello, because unfortunately some hackers did start to do that. The hackathon's on the 10th of November. Don't do anything before then.
And it's interesting because it's a completely virtual but data center with all its innards, right? Everything has been virtualized, and sort of like you can get to switches, routers, servers, storage, everything is there.
It's fantastic. Exactly, fantastic. We're really interested to see how that pans out.
So, an interesting story this week relating to health and safety in the data centre is that two facilities providers were fined a total of £380,000. That's going on for $600,000 for a death. An electrician was electrocuted 5 years ago in 2010, and this has now gone through the courts, and responsibility has been settled on the facilities providers, Balfour Beatty and Norland, mostly Balfour Beatty. The issue there being something which we hope will be familiar to anyone working in this environment. It's to do with making sure that responsibility for circuits lies with the people who are working on them, and handing off work between different people so that it's not possible in any way for someone to find themselves working on a live circuit. It seems that in this case that procedure broke down, and with tragic results. Yeah. It's a salutary reminder of the importance of health and safety. DCD has training in that area, which we'd commend to anyone, and to look at the full report as well from the Health and Safety Executive.
Yeah. So it's like, and Balfour Beatty and Norland, two household names. So it's kind of like, it can happen to anyone. You have to be careful.
Mm-hmm. So Max, you're a big fan of IBM's Power Platform, aren't you?
I am.
And it's got a challenger this week.
Well, that's a challenger. We'll just see about that. But essentially, Oracle has teamed up with Intel, and they're saying IBM's Power is rubbish. Mm-hmm. Databases on IBM Power they will run a lot faster on Oracle engineered systems, which are based on Intel, and they're essentially saying that we can do a free proof of concept migration of your database. We're going to send in engineers. They're going to provide you with a detailed report about the costs and benefits, and essentially sort of like making every effort to migrate people off the older Power-based systems. And the sort of like the initiative itself is paid jointly by Oracle and Intel.
But wait a minute, why is Oracle doing this with Intel when it's got its own RISC chips? What about Spark?
Yep. Good question, and there's sort of like several opinions on the topic. One, Spark and Power are actually more similar than anyone would like to admit. I mean, they're both RISC chips, they're both, like lots of cores, not clocked very highly, actually for Oracle it's a little bit higher than IBM, and massive. Mm-hmm. Just the physical size of them.
Yeah.
But Spark is apparently right now, it's sort of like more of a traditional mainframe workload chip, whereas Power is going down market, and they're actually saying you can run pretty much anything. I mean, analytics works best on Power, but anything else you can throw at it, and it runs Linux now, and it's a very, very nice ecosystem. Yeah. And the way I see it, even though Power has a minuscule market share, Oracle and Intel are clearly worried, and actually, like Intel, I'm quite surprised they're participating in this sort of like publicity stunt.
It's to do with the actual platforms, isn't it? Because Exadata is the Oracle platform, is that right? And that is on Intel, and the systems they're going up happen to be on Power. It's just a sort of a coincidence that those are the chips underlying the two systems they've put up against. Right. Okay.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens. It's certainly a useful service. I mean, if you have your Power 7 systems and you're thinking, I want to try something else, I want to try something x86 compatible, because that just like opens more use cases for you, I guess. You can get Oracle engineered systems with the latest Intel chips. But I mean, don't knock Power, because they also mentioned a case study in there And the case study actually compared the latest Oracle systems against the previous generation IBM systems, and I sort of like got offended at that. That's just like,
ooh, that's like old-fashioned 1970s soap powder marketing.
It is.
Don't
exactly.
do it, guys.
Yeah, precisely.
absolutely.
Bad
Meanwhile,
taste.
IBM recently announced new servers based on Power, and it said that they essentially run much faster and provide more money, bang for the buck, than your latest Intel chips.
Right.
So both of them claim performance superiority and cost superiority. We'll see. It's basically it's worth sort of investigating what they can do for you personally, and not rely on these benchmarks, because these benchmarks. Yeah.
Right.
Peter, what else did you get up to when you were in Chicago?
Well, unexpectedly, I uncovered and I met up with some traditional English Morris dancers in Chicago.
In Chicago.
They're Americans, let's get this straight. They're Americans, but they do traditional English Morris dancing and have been. There's a tradition unbroken in Chicago going back to 1906.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's politically more important than you might think, because in 1913, the British government paid for Cecil Sharp, the head of the Folk Dance Society, the English Folklore and Folk Dance Society, to go across to Chicago to educate the Americans in English folk dancing. And it was a crucial thing to do at that point, because international politics was getting difficult, and in many parts of America, German was the second language spoken. So Cecil Sharp's mission was to boost English culture at the expense of German culture in America. And so, if not for these Morris dancers, who knows? America could be speaking German. It would be an entirely different place. So, well done, American Morris dancers. We love you.